Welcome guys to yet another Rumsky video. Today you are joining me rather, to the late night show where we talk controversial topics, because at this point I'm just trying to win the YouTube algorithm, so stay tuned is all I can say. You read the title of this video. For those of you who are unaware and are not completely keeping track with skating, which honestly I forgive you, there are lots of people who do not keep track of figure skating. It's not a big deal. I hope maybe with this channel I'll get more people interested in skating. It's a pretty dope sport. Join the crew. But anyway, if you haven't been following along, the ISU / International Skating Union officially announced that they will be continuing the Senior Grand Prix series, kind of. And this announcement was made, I don't know, a couple days ago. And this brought about a lot of controversy, surprisingly to me. I didn't think it would, but apparently it did. And so I'm here today to discuss my opinion on the matter, because a lot of you guys have been asking me. Like a lot of people have been DMing me and asking me, and I was sort of avoiding it at first because of how everyone was reacting, but I sort of thought about it and I thought it's okay for me to put in my opinion. So here's my opinion. I'm not going to waste any of your time. I'm going to say right now, I am okay with it. Now, I know some of you guys might disagree, but before you guys disagree, I recommend you stay tuned and maybe, just maybe, I'll change your mind. Not even maybe. I think I might really be changing your mind after this. Let's get into the why. This is in my way. There we go. That's a whole lot better. Now, before I get into this, I want to set some ground rules. This is my opinion, so don't generalize my opinion with any other skaters. This is coming from me, and it does not reflect anyone else whatsoever. Also, this is coming from a Canadian living in Canada with our current Canadian situation with the virus. It is currently August 7th. The information I'm saying is up to date to August 7th, unless I'm missing something. So maybe I'm just going to say for safety, let's say this is information up to August 4th. Because I don't know, maybe things have changed and I'm not in the loop, but let's just give me some safety. So basically, this can be a very different situation for everyone. Anyway, let's get into it. I've sort of never been really into Twitter. I sort of just got into Twitter this year. Obviously, if you compare it to any of my other social medias, I don't have a huge Twitter following. So hit up my Twitter, get in there. But the first thing, I guess, I never really understood what Twitter was. It's an interesting place because it's the best way I can explain Twitter is it's like a comment section for everything. It's literally the world's comment section, like life's comment section, like daily people's activities, like everything is a comment section essentially, because that's all people are doing. They're tweeting / commenting and whatever's happening, right? So things can get toxic very quickly, and it seems that it's like 50-50 from initially. Maybe things are changing now, but initially the reaction was pretty 50-50. 50% of people are like, yes, the Grand Prix series is coming back together. I get to watch some figure skating. Then 50% were like, wow, this very irresponsible, very bad. The ISU doesn't care about their skaters, that kind of deal. I understand the concerns of the health of the skaters. I understand the concerns about the virus in general. We don't want any outbreaks. But here's why I think it can be done safely and how things can progress in the next few months. I think ISU is making the good move of actually creating some sort of a plan. I think a lot of people are forgetting that anything can change at any time. So right now, I'm going to say right now in Canada, we're doing pretty good. Knocking on wood, we're doing pretty good. Some people are anticipating a second wave. Some people don't think that second wave is going to happen. But overall, we're doing pretty good. Pretty good. What was proposed was that the International Grand Prix series, which is usually an international, so we have skaters traveling. Traveling restrictions is extremely difficult. How are you going to fly in skaters into another country, have them quarantine for 14 days, which means no skating for 14 days, then compete, then come back home, quarantine again for 14 days, which you're not going to compete after 14 days. That's first of all. But let's say you go ahead of time. You quarantined, trained, then competed. Then you got to come back home for 14 days to go to your second competition. Basically, all of it is just not feasible. It just doesn't really make sense as a whole. So the proposition is they're going to keep the Grand Prix series, not even really as a series, but more as a invitational competition. Here's what it is. It is a mostly domestic event. So if someone can travel, they will, but all the judges and the officials are going to be domestic. Most of the skaters are going to be domestic or international skaters that train in the same country. So let's say ISU, he trains in Canada, he can be doing Skate Canada. Jason Brown trains in Canada, he's American, but he can skate at Skate Canada International. That kind of deal. So there's no international travel, so that's alleviated. Also, everyone is training right now. So if you guys can go back to my older videos, right now our allowance is 15 people on the ice, which is like honestly, it gets a little busy at 15 in my opinion, but you're allowed 15 people on the ice. But when we're competing, we're never more than 6 on the ice. So there is a way that you can distance, you can do all that. You can do the competition without any stands. Sorry, I meant people, audience. There you go. So you can definitely do a competition without audience. The NHL is doing it. The NBA is doing it. I want to say MLB is doing it. I don't really follow baseball. NHL and NBA are doing it. And I don't see anyone really complaining about those ones. But for figure skating, which isn't even a contact sport, unless you do pairs and dance. But you can arguably do some bubbling for pairs and dance. So that's a separate thing. But for singles, there's 6 of us on a huge pad. We're doing 15 practicing together. So I don't see how a competition is worse than just practicing, especially considering everyone's already domestic. Everyone's going to be screened. There's a way to do it. Basically, what I'm saying is there's definitely a safe way of doing it. What I think ISU did really well is they created a reasonable plan, at least how it is in Canada. I don't really live in the States. I don't keep a whole lot of track of what's going on. I don't know how Skate America is going to work. I don't know how NHK is going to work. I don't know how Cup of China is going to work. I don't know how, which one did I miss? Cup of Russia. I don't know how those ones are going to work. Their situations are different. Now, these Grand Prix series don't start until mid to late October. That's still 3 months down the line. A lot can happen in those 3 months. In 3 months, it should be better. Now, that doesn't mean that it's the do-all end-all. Just because you make a plan doesn't mean we have to do it. So you can hope for that in 3 months, things are going to be better and you can have an event with no audience, domestic event, and that sort of thing, right? So I think it's okay to create a plan, and then let's say the situation changes. You have all right to say that, you know what if you have a second outbreak? Then you just cancel it. Bottom line, it'll be the same thing as Worlds. You plan it, you cancel it. But at least you created a plan and you can try to go for it. And if it doesn't work, and if it's not safe, then it's not safe. Then you just cancel it. We don't even know if it's actually going to happen. Even the rules right now, it's still pretty vague. What if tomorrow they just say, you know what? The situation has worsened or changed for the worse, or it's not as good as we expected it to be. We're not doing it. Does that make sense? So I think it's okay to create a plan and then just not do it when it doesn't work out. Also, another thing, there are a lot of steps these events have to take before they have the green light. Here's an example. So let's say ISU is the first step. So the ISU has to say, okay, we're gonna be able to host this event. Then the next step, Skate Canada has to agree, okay, we can host the event. Then the next step, the municipality or the province or the city has to agree, yes, you can host the event. Then there's another one, yes, you can host. Then you need to have the building. Let's say you rent out some arena somewhere. They have to agree, yes, you can host this event. So there's so many levels of people that have to all agree for this to actually work. If anyone says no along that chain, that event's going to get canceled. It's not like the ISU is going to force us to do things we don't want to do or we don't feel comfortable to do, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fail-safe measures in place purely because there's so many people you have to go through before you can do anything. If all of those measures line up, chances are, I think, in my opinion, it should be pretty safe. And then again, this can change at any time. You can have, let's say, ISU still saying, okay, you're still allowed to run. So let's say the ISU says, okay, you're still allowed to run that Grand Prix, but then the country or the city in that area says, no, you can't run it, then you cancel the event. That's why it's a good thing that we at least have all these multiple levels that they can just say, no, it's not safe. Okay, we won't do it. So I think that's pretty good. On top of that, Skate Canada is doing a great job with communicating with the national team. They're always talking to us constantly, keeping us updated. And basically what they told us is they will not let us do any event that is putting us at risk in any way. Even if at least the way social media is portraying the ISU right now as if they're going to force us to do something, it's not going to work like that. Like, it doesn't. That's not at all how it works. Skate Canada is going to come in and step in and say, okay, we're not going to send our national team athletes anywhere, or we're not going to host this event. So I don't know. It's just weird to me how it's being represented right now. It's just like, why? Like, why? And also, at the end of the day, let's say if I'm, as a skater, uncomfortable with the situation, I, as a skater, can always say no. Now, a lot of people can argue, like, okay, but you're under pressure to do the event. Another thing that ISU did is this event, these Grand Prix, are not going to count for international points. They're not going to count for world ranking points. They don't count for minimum score for worlds. It is just an event that allows us to sort of skate and perform, right? So at least the fans have something to watch, so they can watch us and see how our training was, our COVID training, and see how that reflects in an actual event. And it doesn't actually count for anything. So even if we feel unsafe, there isn't pressure to do an event. We can always say, okay, you know what? I don't feel safe, or maybe I'm a vulnerable person, or whatever. You can pull out of that competition. So bottom line, it's not like, I don't know, like we still have a last say, you know? So if a skater is uncomfortable, they don't have to be forced to do it. I think I covered everything that I feel. The biggest part for me is I'm glad they're making a plan. That's my number one, is I'm happy they're making a plan. There's sort of a projection, a roadmap that maybe in 3 months will be good enough to actually perform and compete again, regardless of whether it's an actual international event, regardless if we're skating without an audience, or maybe we're limited to only, 3 people on warm-up, so 3 people on the ice at once, which is honestly pretty feasible. If you think about it, Grand Prix events are 12 people maximum. It'll be okay. It'll be a little bit longer to have 3 people per warm-up group, but if those are the measures we have to take to have a safe competition, I think that's okay, right? Especially considering that right now in Canada, we're practicing with 15 people. And it's not the same 15 people. And that is the measures that our country and our province are taking right now. So if that's okay, then perhaps, and not even perhaps, it should be okay to do an event. We can even heighten the safety standards because it's an event. We can increase sanitation. We can increase mask wearing, or keeping track of who's going in, who's going out, and all of that. Basically, all I'm going to say is I'm glad there's a plan. I'm looking forward to it. I hope maybe I changed some of your guys' minds. And you know what? I'm really hoping in 3 months we see an improvement. And we can actually start moving forward and doing actual events. I hope I changed you guys' minds, or some of you who are unsure feel safer about it now. The bottom line is, if it is unsafe, it can be canceled at any time. So I don't think it's a bad thing we're creating a plan. That's the bottom line, is what I'm saying. Plans are good. We don't have to go through with them at the actual time. Anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video. This was a little bit different. I haven't done this style of a video in a long time, because I was really focusing on that Back on the Ice video series. I think I did 6 to 10 videos of that now. I lost track. But anyway, that series is slowly coming to an end. I just got back into my home rink last week, but not my actual home rink. Our home rink got a new pad, so we have 2 skating pads. We're in the new one that we were supposed to skate in April. You know what happened in April. We're in there right now. I'm waiting for that day still to go back into our really real home rink, that rink that I skated in since I was 8 years old. That's the rink that I'm waiting for. That's going to be the last video of Back on the Ice. So just brace yourself, guys. That series is coming to an end, because Back on the Ice is almost over. We've been skating for I don't even know, a total of 50, 60 training days now. So how can I even call it Back on the Ice anymore? It's not back anywhere. We're on the ice. So the last one is going to be in that home rink. But don't worry, guys. Subscribe. There's still going to be training vlogs. It's just not going to be called Back on the Ice, if you will. And yeah, let me know how you guys like this style of video. Hit me down in the comments. Do you guys feel safer after what I said? Do you still feel uneasy about the Grand Prix series going forward? Are you guys excited about the Grand Prix series? Because I am. I'm pretty excited. I hope everything turns out good. That makes sense. I really hope everything just works and the stars align and we're just all super healthy and just so much stronger than before. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. And like always, subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.